All right, Super Week is coming up. How are we going to save Team Liquid?
I mean, I don't know why you're looking at me. I'm on the team.
I'm a streamer now. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Come on, you guys got to have something.
I mean, Lee Sin got buffed?
Yeah?
Oh, Ringa Lee Sin, like the good old days.
That sounds
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that'll work. Let's go tell Steve.
Let's go. Dude, I'm so good at this.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good, so good.
Never going to happen.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes.
Okay.
it
All right. Well, Bunny
Okay.
agrees with all of us, except for Jay.
So the bunny agrees with Broxah as well. I wanted to see the end of guess. the arm wrestling match. What happened to that? I heard the producer told me that the audio wasn't rolling for that clip, so they Yeah. couldn't just run them just Oh, like no. arm wrestling Okay. for a minute.
All right, time to do
We
the
are
pairs.
back. Yeah, we have the Foley sheet, and Okay. we have eliminated a lot of.
We haven't updated it from the start of the day. So the first match was 100 Thieves beating EG, so we have to just get
Hey!
out of there. We don't need that anymore.
And then with
I
PSM
love the
beating
environment.
Dig. Yeah, that's out.
And this is
So
what's
now
left.
now we're down to like folded about there.
5 sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
biggest
then up
thing.
there.
Biggest thing for this one is if TL loses,
They're done.
it's really bad for TL.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're
how
not gonna
how
make
bad is
playoffs.
it? They're out of playoffs.
It's just over.
Yep.
Yep.
That is bad.
But if they win, still alive. It's good.
Oh, thank you for the update.
Augers on the.
Stats right here. Back it
Oh
up.
my God. Does it? Yeah, 100%.
So you were the only one to predict CLG,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you still have the faith?
They
they beat
have,
Golden Guardians
well,
yesterday?
one, they have more wins than TL on the year, so they're better. Two, I would say I literally never know what I'm getting out of either of these teams
Yes.
because TL is, and I mean the vibes
Is
are
this
right.
is this
Contractz.
Contract's cat? I
Yeah.
assume.
Yep.
Mew
Wow.
for some fantastic vibes.
It's
Are
kind of like mid-dab.
Are those fantastic vibes?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
dabbing. It looks
Yeah,
like.
if CLG is relaxed, they're good. As soon
Sure.
as they pressure themselves too hard, Contractz starts making terrible engages. Much like Pyosik, Summit, the way Team Liquid plays, both these teams have a tendency to play too fast, and I'm trying to figure out which team is feeling less pressure. And that's the team that I think is going to be able to win this game. And right now, I think TL is under more pressure.
I think it's also like the faith buff that they get when you don't believe in them. People were very cold on them coming into this week. They then beat Golden Guardians. We're keeping that going with only you still believing in them.
Yeah.
So that means that they probably win this game.
Kind of
If you
hindering
can
them.
ever
I
be
think.
the only
Yeah.
person to predict a CLG, that is the only time you'll be right.
Oh my God.
I think this is also super draft dependent, right? Because
Yeah.
like actually the last time we did a champ select at the lounge, it was also a CLG draft, and it was not the greatest.
And for Team Liquid, I'm actually really happy with where the meta is for them right now. CoreJJ on Engage like Thresh, I think has been amazing. Rakan, if he has his hands on it, I think makes their team fights a lot easier to pilot. And I already mentioned at the top of the show, Haeri just had a great Akali game, and I think the performance that he's had throughout the split has been scaling up. So there's a lot I can say, and also the Sejuani. So just like we're seeing Summit on a tank, and the front to back seems better. So I'm high on them. I expect better.
Yeah, that was a really good flex. I've heard that we have the arm wrestling back between Kangas and Broxah, so let's see that.
Okay.
The race for playoffs is looking tight between Team Liquid and CLG, and since I'm the biggest CLG fan outside of Kobe, had to bring Broxah here to settle the score.
I don't know why we're even doing this. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a CL win. But
Well, how about
go.
this? How about this? Once the match starts, Summit might be the mountaintop, but he's about to meet big dogs.
well, to be fair, I mean, I'm pretty sure Summit is going to stomp Big Dog so hard that you're going to suck in soas for the next game.
No! I know that you know Palafox. You met Palafaker. We're about to introduce you to Palafucker. Ugh.
Well, you might be looking at the mid lane. But to be fair, when you look at jungle, we have an NA jungler versus a literal world champion, Korean in Pyosik.
But how's it gonna match up against Luger.
I mean, you know, I'm not too worried about the bot lane. We have Core in the bot lane. He's the all-time best support in the LCS. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty straightforward.
All right, we'll leave it to the players to decide. How about that?
I said the word CoreJJ, and it was settled.
Congrats to Kangas for
He lost!
He achieved his dream of facing against MarkZ. He's been looking forward to this for 2 years. It didn't even look like it looked like MarkZ was always, 2 seconds away from just wiping him. And
Kangas does not lose arm wrestling matches. I will just say that. Kangas.
I kind of wish I saw the actual match, not like the little showboat thing there.
I have a video of it. I have a video of it.
My bad. Oh, did they actually do it?
Yes. Kangas won.
One thing super interesting, going into draft, already Thresh Wukong bans, they're onto it. They know that Core is so much better. For this team, when he is on an engage support, I will die on this hill.
Yeah, I agree.
Literally the 2 champions I've mentioned. Right out of the gate.
Incoming Nautilus.
A lot of Engage been banned away right off the bat. I mean, Contractz had a bad Lee Sin game before.
Yeah.
Pyosik had a great Lee Sin game, so I really like those 3 bans by CLG, actually.
We'll have to see if this is the Azael ban, because that's what people have been doing against CLG so far, especially with Annie taken off as well. I know a lot of people have played that matchup.
Yeah. The only other one is Gragas that I'm concerned about, just because he has been the best flex pick in the meta right now. So I wanted to get that out there before we saw the ban. No, the Gragas.
Oh no, I mean, I'm wondering if Azael is going to be there first.
It's interesting because Haeri was the other guy who had a really good Azael performance. We did a VOD review with him after he was talking about some of the stuff with it. And so the Elise being left up means that there is going to be some gank pressure on the Aurelion Sol. The early lane phase of it is pretty weak, and it has to do a lot of scaling to get threatening. And I know people hate the fact you can hold a minion wave, but that doesn't really turn online until a little bit later.
Yeah, I want to see if TL can still pick Engage for CoreJJ, because if they're picking Zeri, they're probably going to be doing Zeri Lulu. And in their previous game, I was looking at Core's win rates on Engage supports versus when he's playing Enchanters, and it's not pretty. So I believe this is updated. 5-2 when he's on Engage champions, and 2-7 now on Enchanters and Marksman, but it was up. There were no bot lane bans, and they're still trying to play what is considered the best bot lane with Zeri Lulu.
As much as I know Luger does like Lucian, I really hope they don't go Lucian Nami. Just because, on this patch, I think you'd go, Zyra Khan. The Jinx is really interesting. Again, something we've seen Luger play in the past, and that's what gets locked in.
That's fair. I like the fact that we're seeing a little bit more Jinx. She did receive a slight buff. The biggest one that I saw from that one, of course, was the Super Mega Death Rocket has now a higher threshold, so just protect your major objectives.
Made a match smite now, 1200 max.
Yeah, a little wild there. The Nautilus does get locked in, so it seems like the Engage is being caught up there. For TL side, I wonder if they just pick the Vi now, or wait a little longer going to second phase, because then you can go into the Nocturnes, the Jarvans, a little bit more, especially knowing that you're going up against an immobile Jinx with a Thresh being banged. You can see a window for the J4. So we'll see. Oh, Wukong, forgot about that one.
Pyosik gonna grab that most likely. Matching the first phase of the draft here, so now's the chance, I guess, if you want to ban out the Aurelion Sol. The other things were higher prio.
Yeah, and I do wonder, I mean, Aurelion Sol is in such a weird spot because even in the spots we've seen Palafox play it, and Palafox was even, I know, Mark, you've mentioned this previously on cast where Wolf was reviewing some, T1 Wolf was reviewing some Aurelion Sol games. And Aurelion Sol obviously has very clear weaknesses, but it was Palafox who initially made that champion look so strong, but they do not have a successful win rate with it. I believe they're, 1-2?
I want to say 1-3, but it might be 1-2.
I swear to God, that dig game is a W in my mind, all right? You can't convince me they lost that game.
It wasn't a W in life.
I know you guys are talking about mids. We're also seeing mid bans. For me, it's about the tanks, because both these compositions are actually just pretty similar and playing front to back with hyper carries in the back line. So I'm kind of expecting there to be a fight for Sion. So I wonder if Sion's going to get banned by CLG, but if they do that, then Cho'Gath is going to be picked up. And I think that's going to be the fight for blinds going into the next phase. I'm interested in what the next ban's going to be. I think TL they want to go for a trade, because if they ban one, the other one goes.
Getting rid of the Crocodile. I think it's a really interesting change that you kind of referenced at the top of the day where Summit played the Sejuani and played, I felt like, more respectfully than we'd seen out of him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just like because he was on that pick, he was like, it like forced him into that mindset, which can sometimes be an interesting way to curb people's worst tendencies. If they constantly, like I think it was actually Dopa who was joking about like the Yone Yasuo effect. When you have this champion in your hands, it can do so much that you just kind of go crazy with it. Whereas when you're on something that's more limited, like you don't push your boundaries as much. I wonder if that's a way to keep Summit under control a little bit by putting on champions that just can't 1v9 the game, so he doesn't even try to.
We were looking at Summit's top lane stats earlier today, and he is still incredibly dominant.
It's
in
like
basically
13
every
CSD,
laning
yeah.
stat. 13 CSD at 14, like a 500 gold lead, which is like almost no other top laners had more than 100 gold lead. And it's kind of true across the board for Team Liquid, like everyone excels in the early game. So their team comps actually probably are better when he's on something like Sejuani or Sion, because he's not going to try and smash the lane, and then they can at least play through a position on the map, which this game it looks like they should definitely be playing through bot lane.
Yeah, and I think something that he's been a lot better at least in that one game, was that just being linked with his carry, something that you've been critical of him actually.
Yeah, gotta connect.
Wow. Exactly, so that's been a positive, but CLG, actually.
Damn, they slammed that 4-5.
Yeah, the quick Gwen against the Sion,
Blind
and then
pick Jayce mid.
the Jayce.
Oh.
I love how Ravs was like, wow, they look like they're matching their team comps. One team goes Sion, the other team Gwen. What the hell is front to back?
Jayce.
Ooh, Haeri LeBlanc against Jinx.
Ooh, he's on it.
He's an Akali one trick, man.
There it is. He had good vibes on the last one, bringing it back this time around. So at least he's going to be able to match sides. So that's going to be, there is now a different angle to fights. It's not just the traditional front to back.
What do we think of this CLG draft? Because last time we didn't have time to kind of go over.
I think the Jinx doesn't fit. Like, I think they have this really aggressive, flanking, high damage, squishy topside that you'd want, but then you have the Jinx who wants front to back, so there's literally no help for Luger's Jinx.
Yeah, there's very little protection for her. All right, we'll see what the casters think as we go back to Flowers and Azael.
That's my secret, Emily. I don't think. But Isaac does, and that's why every talk fast guy needs a smart guy.
I think that sign was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
That was a good sign. I do enjoy seeing all the different stuff that fans come up with.
Yeah.
When
We've had some really good signs.
Yeah, we've had some creative ones. We also have, okay, so game number 1 was the tavern music. Game number 2 was setting out on an adventure.
Now they're in Enchanted Forest.
Yeah, this is like Enchanted Forest exploration montage.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the, like, when am I getting my industrial grunge? Like you're in the final boss dungeon. That's what I want to see.
That's the villain music. You know?
Yeah, that's what we need to see.
It's the final boss. That's game 5.
Okay,
sure.
Game 5 is industrial grunge.
Guaranteed. And I won't be here to hold up that guarantee, but guaranteed.
All right, fair enough. Well, CLG and Team Liquid, it's the battle of the blue, and both teams really want this win. Both teams are in that conversation around that line that is the cutoff for playoffs.
Well, and for TL, it's win or you're out. Just plain and simple, they are done if they lose here today because they are at 7 wins. There's already 5 teams at 9 or above, and this win would put CLG to 9 wins. So that would be it. GG. You are done for the split. So huge implications in this one. TL absolutely must win to maintain some shot to be able to get in. You know, we know that TSM is already at 8, so CLG definitely doesn't want to lose as well because they could end up in like a 3-way tie or something weird and CLG could miss playoffs. So it's incredibly important for both these teams.
You've really got to make sure that you're taking in the gravity of the situation going into this final week, going into these last couple of games. It's so tense, man, because, you know, one bad game, one good game with one bad play could be the difference between you playing more League of Legends and sitting at home on the couch watching the postseason.
Absolutely, and that, you know, theoretically could be the difference between that and going to MSI. Who knows? You know, who knows what happens in playoffs? We've had teams have bad regular seasons and win the split, right? Look at EG in spring last year. They were 9-9 regular season, didn't win a single game against the top 3 teams in the split during the regular season, then won the whole split, right? So it can happen. And you've got to wonder how much that is weighing on players' minds because that can really change things up. You can sometimes get in that mindset where you're like, I don't want to be the person that makes the game losing play instead of focusing more on, I want to be the guy that makes the game winning play, right? You can kind of get in that negative mindset. So it is really important to stay focused, and we'll we'll see which team can kind of make those big plays. It's going to be a lot of talk, you have to think, on both sides about the draft if teams lose. Because on one hand, you know, you've got Core, who's 2-7 now on the enchanters and range supports. And, you know, he's 5-2 on the Engage champ. So a lot of TL fans, I'm sure, as soon as that gets locked in, there's that bit of that collective groan of like, oh, God, just put Core on an Engage. And on the other side, you've got mid Jayce, you've got Elise, you have no real front line for a Jinx, right? Like, it seems a little bit out there on both sides as far as I think what fan expectation and desire would be. But there's definitely the opportunity to run over a game here on the CLG side. And they can also play effectively through side lanes with the Gwen. The Gwen also, I do think, is kind of really underrated as a team fighter. You don't always need to have a tank in front to create space. There's multiple ways to do it. And Gwen can create space for the Jinx simply by, you know, attacking the carries on her own and actually diving into that front line, you know, utilizing the Shroud to kind of create this zone of control, similar to what Akali does. Honestly, both the Gwen and the Akali, I think, function somewhat similarly in the team fight. So it'll be an interesting one.
Well, Contractz is invading here. You can see they were thinking about a potential dive, but they're saying, all right, Pyosik's got to be ready to counter this. Yes, he is.
Does he flash over the wall for Cocoon? This would be risky, but if he hits it, they could probably kill this guy.
Flash Cocoon here is the Chad play, but if you miss, it's real bad news. Instead, Contractz is just going to find Pyosik, takes a bite out of him there, gets about half his HP. It is going to force the Wukong further back, so Pyosik won't be able to intervene and really affect this mid lane. Contractz tries to get it, but not quite. Just uses the repel to drop the turret aggro. This is one of Elise's greatest strengths. Why she's such a good early game jungler and ganker. She can make dives happen that others can't because of the target drop.
And it's also why, when I was watching the draft, as soon as Elise gets locked in, you have to have a strong physical damage pairing. You know, if you go tank topside and you go an AP mid, then you stack MR and Elise really loses a lot of the power. So you need like a Renekton or a Yeon or a Jayce. You know, those are the three that I was thinking of. Two of them get banned, the other gets locked in. And it's a good bit of pressure there from Contractz. You know, it doesn't go for the super risky play of that flash in. Instead, just chunks out Pyosik, then walks around, forces the flash off Haeri. So Haeri now is going to be down in farm, down a summoner in this difficult early range versus melee matchup. The Wukong, though, of course, spotted on that ward. So Poome and Luger will just wait back, and that wave will just group and push towards them. So really, they're not going to miss too much here whatsoever.
And I do have eyes on both Yeon and Haeri, especially now that the pressure is on for TL. It is a must-win game. These guys coming up from the Academy system, and they've had some mixed results so far here throughout this split. I think everybody's still wanting to see more out of both. We got to see some pretty impressive stuff from Haeri on the Ahri, which is one of his trademark champions, and everybody's just kind of still waiting to see the Team Liquid systems, the full Korean team pop off and have all this practice pay off. And for these young guys that aren't used to this level of pressure, aren't used to playing under like these circumstances, that can really affect your mental. As Contractz invading after Pyosik, the spider,
he's got a flash,
chasing after the monkey, and Pyosik flashes away to stay alive.
Yeah, he knows that the spider form Q is coming back up, and then if you flash at that point, after that execute damage has already hit you, he may be able to just flash fall with an auto and kill.
Auto in the air, yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, that is one of those situations where you have to early flash or you're just going to go down. But this is dangerous for Haeri because you can look for a cocoon over the wall from the Raptor pit. Luger getting chunked out here is not great for him, but there they go!
There it is! Haeri stays alive with 100 HP, but not long enough. It's first blood to Palafox's Jayce, but bottom lane, the 2v2 favors Liquid, but not enough for a kill.
Yeah, I mean, they could have potentially killed Core there, but the problem was Luger was already too low from the earlier play. When you get the hook into the chompers, you can sometimes get that 100-0 play on the Lulu, but just not enough health on Luger to actually step forward and finish him off, because Yeon is going to step forward and focus that Jinx, push him back, and that keeps Core safe. But you've got to say, the early play from Contractz is exactly what you want out of this Elise. You know, earlier on, he pushes out Wukong from the right side of the tower, wraps around, forces a flash. Now, he pushes him out on this side, forces his flash, from the jungler, and then goes in. The cocoon doesn't hit, but it doesn't even matter because the shroud has already been used for that farm. So they're just waiting for the shroud to expire, flashes in, Q inform Q, goes spider, gets the execute damage. They're able to finish him off, and now it's no TP, no flash, and early kill goes over onto that Jayce. So Palafox in a fantastic position here. I mean, just look at the buy. He's able to get MR, a tier, and a serrated dirt.
Ooh, just when Dhokla thought he had a good situation to drain tank through the damage of the 1v1, come out on top, Pyosik reads the situation and shows up to help summon and get Team Liquid on the board.
Yeah, and that's the ulti as well down there for Dhokla. Dhokla does have that tendency to sometimes really get aggressive, you know, wants to exert his will in the 1v1, and at times gets punished for it. Haeri, though, looking for a good trade, but the Shroud is going to expire, and Contractz is in the area, so now he has to be pretty careful. Pretty much any time your Shroud is down and you don't know where Elise is, you've got to be playing scared, because the Shroud is really all that's going to keep him alive if he actually gets cocooned.
I really love the Sorcerer's Shoes rush for the Elise as well. You're going to be running around spamming these ganks. Make it so you're getting between the lanes in your camps faster, as well as the magic penetration. I don't think you can really go for a better option here at the start. Obviously, Wukong not going to be nearly as fast because he wants to rush Divine Sunderer. So Contractz can hopefully continue this level of pressure and playmaking.
Exactly. I mean, it's the Elise classic. Tier 2 boots rush, you get out on the map, you continually gank. You need to keep that pressure rolling because your power in a team fight as Elise is just nowhere in the same stratosphere of Wukong later on. It's so much easier for Wukong to have that easy team fight. Whereas the only successful team fights for Elise is generally if you can somehow access that backline, but it's so difficult to do later on. So you really need to utilize that early game power, keep the pressure rolling, and honestly, put your carries in a position to carry you later on.
Right. It's a handshake. I'm going to help you early. You're going to help me late.
Yep.
Because we shine at different points of the game. So Palafox being off to that 1-0 start goes ahead and buys the full Hex Drinker for the lane. I like this a lot against a champion like Akali because of her strength once she hits level 6. The power of that 100-0 all in if she hits the E and then she's guaranteed to hit her Rs. It's so scary. But this item lets Palafox just sort of disregard it for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he feels that that is going to keep him safe, you know, the only way that Haeri can actually kind of come back in the lane, you know, and really exert his will in the lane is by threatening all-ins, right? So if you can't get the all-in, then all of a sudden Jayce has full control in that lane. The downside of this is that is the only real, you know, magic damage threat. Zeri has some mixed damage. There's a little bit in there, but it's not as though there's like a multi-AP team where he's getting crazy value from it. Right. So it really is purely for that 1v1. And it is going to slow down his acceleration a little bit outside of that. We can see CLG pushing through mid. They want to get up to its top and try to get this Herald.
Well, Dhokla is holding off Team Liquid for the time being. Contractz and Palafox moving up. They're going to find Haeri as he eats the Shock Blast, flashes out of the cocoon. If that would have tagged him, I'm not sure if he just barely gets away if he keeps walking or not.
Hard to know.
But yeah, he didn't want to risk it because he knows if it does hit, he's dead.
Yeah, and if you die there with no TP, then you're losing plates mid too. It's Jayce. Jayce will crush the tower, so you have got to be safe. Dhokla able to just back it up, use the Shroud there, avoid that Q. Was a trade of ultimates in the river.
And CLG, despite the fact that they were taking the Drake late enough to have that handshake neutral objective swap with the Herald, they stopped Team Liquid from acquiring it, and now they'll pick it up themselves. So CLG get Drake and Herald here in the first round.
And that's the early game power that they have drafted for and that they must make good on. When you're playing with Jayce Elise, you can't just AFK, sit back, get nothing with it. You've got to continue pushing the pace, not just through ganks, but through neutral objectives, which can equalize power later on, right? When your champion starts to fall off, if you're threatening that soul, all of a sudden it doesn't necessarily have to matter. You gotta give a lot of credit to Summit though in this 1v1. You know, did get that gank coming in from Pyosik, but is up quite a bit in farm here, you know, a good wave and a half or so. Has already taken a plate away, utilizing that demolish, so is still finding a way to kind of exert his strength in the 1v1 despite being put on a tank.
Summit with that CS lead continuing to just build up into the massive meatball that'll be great even if Jayce gets fed, right? Well, like, this is what you need as the recall from Contractz doesn't go all the way, but he goes up into the air, gets back underneath the turret, does not want to be the focus of Summit and Pyosik. So the 2v2 here fizzles out really quick.
I think that Summit really kind of goofed there. To me, it looked like the sweeper from Pyosik spotted Elise, and Summit tried to start walking down to meet the Elise, but the Elise was recalling, right? He didn't actually have to give it up there.
Oh! Palafox just smacks Haeri upside the jaw. Solo kill in mid lane.
Yeah, crushes him down. That is a big kill. Because now this is where you start to lose a lot. When you have no TP, he's going to be able to push in. It's going to be that second plate falling for sure. So it's a kill and a half. Plus the XP and gold differential from losing all the minions. Palafox out to an incredible start, and scratch that. The Herald's going to get dropped, so it's going to be even more.
2 more plates, yeah. He's got that next plate already down to half HP, so the Herald charge will finish it off as well as the next one. Boom! Just like that, the mid lane turret is barely hanging on for Team Liquid, and CLG's got a 2,000 gold lead.
And he's going back to base with 2,100 gold in pocket. So that is massive. Going to have a lot to spend up here. We'll see exactly where he wants to go. Expecting just Mythic Rush, but yeah, it does have his options available, and it is going to be the Eclipse. So as expected, just going to rush the Eclipse, and now he is comically strong. Like, there's no contesting this guy whatsoever in the 1v1.
That bursty trading pattern of just hitting him a couple times, getting the proc, getting the shield back, it's impossible for Haeri to deal with it with the items that he has. Just having the Hex Tech Alternator and the Blasting Wand. Yes, he's closing in on his own Mythic, but he's not there. And here's another look at how it happened.
Yeah, and Power Shock Blast does hit. You know, see, this is the difficulty. When you're going for the range minions, that's where you're actually really vulnerable. So Palafox just stands on the range minions, get the autos in between. Q comes back up. It wasn't empowered, but as the Shroud is expiring, Q from range form right into melee to the skies, knocking him down. It's hammer time, baby.
Every time Akali dies in her Shroud, an angel gets its wings. that never gets old for me, man. That champion is slippery to lock down.
Yeah.
But Palafox has the damage. He has the burst. And he gets it done. Now, let's see if Haeri can do anything about this turret falling, because it doesn't really look like it. It actually just looks like it's more of a party for CLG. Another kill, another death on Haeri. He is all 3 of the kills that CLG has picked up early, and all 3 have gone to Palafox.
I mean, the hopes are starting to fade already here for TL. It is a 3.2K lead. It is Dragon. It is Herald. It's first power. It's everything going the way of CLG here. And TL really going to be feeling the pressure. This is win or go home for them. And now Contractz wrapping around here. They should be able to keep this wave off the tower, so that's going to prevent any sort of a dive. But CLG is in such a good position. This is Palafox's game to carry. And this is on his shoulders. He has gotten so much help, so many ganks, and all of the kills. So he must make good on this lead.
And as CLG was posturing for a potential dive, they forced the teleport out of Haeri. They don't want to overforce the dive there. Meanwhile, up here in topside, Pyosik is saying, all right, things have completely exploded over in mid. They are overloading bottom side. I got to try to find something elsewhere, but there's just no play to make onto the Gwen right now.
And I mean, even if you kill the Gwen, if you're getting more gold for the Sion, like, sure, that's nice. You have the tanky Sion, but it's not really where you want your gold to go. If Wukong's getting more out of it, maybe Wukong can kind of be that threat, especially against the Jinx, who is going to struggle with low mobility and no defensive support. But it's definitely a really tough spot.
First mythic of the game for Team Liquid is the Divine Sunderer of Pyosik. Hasn't bought any other items besides the jungle item, has the free boots instead of even needing to pick up the tier 1s. So he's at least got that power spike, but everybody else is still struggling to get there. The gold plus 3.5K with Palafox 1,600 out in front of the next closest player, and that's his own AD carry.
I mean, this is one mid laner. And then, oh, well, the other mid laner was down there.
Okay, well,
trust me on that
that's
one.
3 side champion pictures away from each other. That's quite a distance.
Yeah. This is quite a lot, man. He's closing in on doubling him up.
Well, I mean, if you're Haeri right now, dealing with this Jayce is just not an option. You just got to hope that maybe you can find Jinx out of position. Yeah. Maybe you can burst down an Elise if she goes too ham trying to kill one of your guys. He's got Proto Belt, so at least the extra burst on top of his combo will be there, but it's going to be a struggle. I said I wanted to see the rookies here on Team Liquid step up, and unfortunately for them, Haeri's having a tough game.
Yeah, he is having a tough game. It has just been much more about the team play, though. You know, the laning, I think, in the 1v1 has not really been the issue as much. There's just so much pressure that has been put on from Contractz in those early stages. You know, pushing Pyosik out of the jungle, attacking him from one side, getting his flash force, then going in and invading Pyosik on the other side, forcing Pyosik's flash, then coming in for the kill. It's the repeats, it's the wraparound from the Nautilus. It's just great team play from CLG, right? Exactly. Yeah. You know, that is really what you want to see when you see these early game comps. And this is why people draft this kind of stuff, because they draft it in scrims, they play it, and they create these massive leads where a game can just be blown out of the water immediately. Sometimes they come on stage and nothing happens in the early game and it just looks useless and you're kind of left head scratching. These are the kind of games that people want from it. And for TL now, you talked about one rookie's not having a good game. Well, the other rookie's still farming well. Yeon in a pretty good spot, and he has the Enchanter behind him, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to be that guy who can take over the game, who can bring them back in it. You know, Yeon with the Lulu behind him, with the Sion in front of him, and potentially with Haeri trying to zone Luger out of the fight, he might just be able to make something happen.
They are, of course, up against that wall of 3,500 gold still for the side of CLG. Also, with both Drakes already taken, CLG could threaten an early soul. Man, Contractz bursts Haeri over the wall. He's close enough to the terrain that Contractz can do that quote-unquote melee range execute Q, but it doesn't take him over the wall. Haeri loses half HP to the Sorcerer's Shoes Night Harvester Elise, and he's got to back away.
Yep, it just has to go right back to base, so that's really going to end any sort of a chance that they have to potentially contest this. You can see that the bot lanes were both moving towards mid, so at least they wanted to have it as an option, but going to be no shot to contest it here whatsoever.
4 out of 4 neutral objective control for CLG in the early game. The Jayce and the Elise, the mid jungle duo that you said has to play aggressively. They have to play with a goal in mind. They've done it well so far.
Yep, done it really well thus far. And it's just for them, because they got those really early dragons, just about playing towards Soul, honestly. They don't have any sort of a complex win condition whatsoever in this game. And they're not going to have to wait really long, you know, unless Pyosik actually steals away a dragon or something to kind of delay that. CLG's just in such a good spot because you don't have to worry about Jayce scaling, Elise scaling, when Soul could potentially be coming through at like 24 minutes.
And if you keep building the leads like this, just getting the turrets, getting these things that are giving global gold to the whole team, hey, we've got some late game insurance on CLG's side with this Jinx.
Yep.
This champion can become that 6-item wrecking crew. Pyosik loses health pretty much only on his clone. His actual champion gets away still 95% HP as Luger has to retreat back in mid lane. CoreJJ and Yeon stepping up, trying to keep him back, trying to get this wave shoved out. Contractz early game is so good. Hell yeah, it is. He's having an awesome performance here in this one to try to keep CLG in a great spot for playoffs. They go to 9 with this one, they'll be looking really good, and it means tomorrow they can try to play for that 10th win and just lock it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Lock it in and also potentially still challenge for a top 4 spot because Golden Guardians is at 9. EG has lost back-to-back games. They're still at 10. So if CLG wins today and tomorrow, they can get to 10 and potentially get top, top 4, which would give them that double elimination bracket instead of starting in that lower round where you are single elim. So it really has heated up. There's so many teams that are actually involved in these playoff implications, and it has not been nearly as clear-cut as I think a lot of people would have expected because 3 of our 4 top teams have actually gone 2 and 3 in the last 5, so they're opening the door for teams to start catching up. FlyQuest, EG, and Golden Guardians all struggling in these last games across the end of the split.
And of course, you know, they can always bounce back still.
Yep.
There's more opportunities for them. EG, again, not having a great game earlier today, but we still have to see what FlyQuest is going to bring out. We still have to see what we're going to get from the Golden Guardians as well. Like, it's so much in the air to be decided.
Yes, sir.
It means that everything that is under your control, you need to make sure you're maximizing. And for CLG, they're maximizing right now, looking to start up their 3rd Drake of the game. Team Liquid, seeing if maybe they might be able to do anything about it. I don't think you can. I don't think.
Oh, they're going to fight for it,
They
though.
want
They're
to, though.
in.
A TP's coming in. Yeon and CoreJJ take the blast cone over the wall. Another TP showing up now. Team Liquid
Haeri
moving forward. They want to take it. CLG goes in and they're going to secure the Drake. Poome stuck in the middle of everybody, tries to flash it out, but he's already dead. Contractz on the run. A flash from him. CLG will take the Drake. They will trade their support for it.
Okay, not too bad. Honestly, it went a lot better for TL than I thought it was going to go. I thought it could have been really tragic for them, but they did have a really good angle of engage there. You know, Haeri getting in the back line pushes Luger out of the fight immediately, and then Poome is kind of sectioned off, so they're able to actually take him down. Unfortunately, nothing else for them to really trade for. It's not like you can try to just go and start a Baron because we're not even 20 minutes in. So now 4.5 away here from a potential Ocean Soul, which could make things very, very difficult. You know, TL trying to look for this engage, splitting up on multiple sides. You can see Haeri TP'd him from the top. He has this angle in on Luger. They come in from the bottom as well with the Sion ulti there, straight in onto Poome. And Yeon is able to kind of just free fire. Well, you can see Luger couldn't really join the fight whatsoever. He just has to worry about running away from the Akali. So that is the benefit of having this Akali. Gets a kill in that fight as well. So Haeri, you know, despite the fact that he is way down, he's never going to win the 1v1 you expect against Jayce. But this is a Jinx without a defensive support. So if you can get on her, you can threaten her. It's not like she's building any MR or any defensive items. He will have kill threat on the Jinx pretty much at all stages of the game.
There's no Thresh, there's no Lulu, there's none of these things that are typically able to protect her from that kind of a dive. But Team Liquid is now staring down the barrel of a very difficult situation because of the state of the Drake Soul. Now Haeri going to be ganked by Contractz yet again. Gets away this time. Poome and Luger also showing up here in the top side. 3.5 minutes until what'll be the Drake Soul spawns for CLG, and Team Liquid knows they got to be contesting these all the time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Pyosik, nice clone there. Steps over the wall, immediately clones back when he sees there's other people around. But CLG just trying to continue to keep that pressure on. It was a great Shroud utilized there by Haeri as the Cocoon landed, but now with no ult, you can't actually step up to this and wave clear. There's just no shot. There's 4 members there from CLG. Jayce is going down towards bot side to answer the Sion, and CLG can look to now reset, move out towards mid, answer the pushing Zeri there, and continue to just extend this lead and set up for the Soul, where TL are going to have to find that incredible fight that their season now depends on.
TL has one major completed item on every character that's not Sion, and Palafox has 3 on his Jayce. That is just such a difficult thing to deal with. Summit has to absorb pretty much every shock blast. Because if any of those shock blasts hit anybody else, it's trouble.
It's a 3,000 gold lead in the mid lane. That is just insane, right? Like, Jayce is so fed right now that it is going to be really difficult to deal with. I mean, he has 50 CS, he has 3 kills, and he got a ton of turret gold as well. So that is becoming really, really difficult for him to really, to do anything against.
What is the cooldown on his shock blast right now? Because every item in his build is just spamming this ability haste, it feels like.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Of course, obviously, the super one requires the acceleration gate as well, but still, that's just constant poke.
Well, and you can, if you go like for the turbo CDR builds, like if you go towards Shojin and stuff, you can actually get to the point where you can do 2 accelerated shock blasts per acceleration gate. Yeah, and then it just looks like Earth. That is just like comical levels of fed. But when Jayce does hit that, we talk a lot about Jayce kind of falling off compared to some other champions, but Jayce can have really, really impressive poke. And then at that point, it's more about what your answers to that poke are. And you need to then have, as you say, Sion trying to soak all that, go for a Warmogs, things like that. Because those shock blasts are really going to be punishing for every other member on the map.
Pyosik trying to clear out some of the vision that CLG has placed down. CLG, I want to see them continue to push the pace of this game. I want to see them use this 4,500 gold lead to take over the territory of Team Liquid, get that vision down, start making it scarier and scarier for TL to leave anything that's not a turret.
And you can see, most of that prio has been put around these 2 objectives. We have just kind of this circle of wards over here with this line of wards as well here for CLG. So they're just trying to take over more and more area. And TL has got to be really careful about how they enter, but it's 40 seconds now until Soul. So it's time to buy, it's time to get as strong as you possibly can on the TL side and get out there on the map. They need Sion here because they have got to have him help clear vision. He's one of the only guys that can actually check brushes. Lulu can't do it. Pyosik can kind of do it, but if he gets caught, he's going to be chunked almost to 0, and then they have no jungler for Soul Point.
It's tough for TL, man. This is such a difficult game state. One more major mistake from anybody could just mean, realistically, the end of this head-to-head. As CLG
shock
looking
blast
for position here. Shock blast hits Pyosik, chunks him pretty heavily. He's got to retreat back to the rest of the team now. Has to use the clone to make sure he doesn't end up in trouble there, passing by Luger and Poome. As you can see, pressure from Dhokla on the top side. Palafox getting caught out. That's exactly what TL needed. Palafox, what the hell?
Palafox was down by himself, trying to find that angle to poke, but he was down in the river for so long, never regrouped with his team. Gives over a freebie. You can see, just look at his body language. You can see the stress from Palafox after that one. He knows he made a huge mistake. That was an 800 gold shutdown plus Dragon. That should have been the bow on top. That should have been the game all but wrapped up for CLG. And instead, it's a massive shutdown going the other way, and TL with another lease on life.
So let's take a look at how they found him. He was poking from inside the Drake pit initially.
Yeah, and he has no flash. I'm not sure if this is actually correct or not, but if he's playing with no flash by himself in this area, it's very dangerous. I'm just shocked. Why didn't he kind of just wrap around the back of the pit? Walking up to auto attack a Sion in the river with your team in mid lane and your top lane or top lane. That is a head scratcher for me. That was straight bizarre.
That's my bad.
Oh, and we have the comms there. I mean, he straight up admits it, and I think that's what you need, right? You need to take accountability. Clearly, he made a mistake, and just take ownership for it. Move forward.
Yeah, you can't go back and change it now, but it's one of those things where I like to talk a lot about in games. Once you reach the point where you can't just win the game anymore, you need a mistake from your opponents. Team Liquid was rapidly approaching that sort of critical mass.
That Soul was that point.
And that there was the mistake that they needed. That's the mistake that they capitalized on, and they're still alive. It's tough, don't get me wrong. CoreJJ just getting chunked there. But now Team Liquid at least feels like they have a fighting chance. Poome's taken low, but they don't have enough damage to finish the kill. Pyosik at half, CoreJJ also somewhat hurt. Palafox having to flash away now from Haeri. He finds the Shuriken flip. He goes in, but he doesn't have it. Haeri dies.
Yeon!
The Contractz to the rest of CLG. CLG have to retreat. Palafox going to be killed now again, as Dhokla has not yet found his way to participate. Yeon goes over the wall there with a hop, skip, and a jump, but Summit will not die easily. CLG, they trade mid laners, and Team Liquid's happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna be able to get the stopwatch off of Palafox there as well. As Haeri just decides he's gonna go in. You gotta know that's a one-way trip, but he did get a lot of damage out before he died. And that sets up for Yeon to go in and try to get those cleanup kills. They're not able to get too many, but the gold lead, is closing ever so slightly, and Pyosik is getting very fed on the Wukong. He's now on 2 full items plus a stopwatch. We can watch this one more time. Shock Blast, half of his health, and then Poome thinks it's the okay to move forward, but Pyosik just lets it rip on him. They don't have their AD with him. Luger is not there to actually back him up immediately. They call in everyone. TP's coming in from both sides. Haeri goes forward, forces out that flash, and then I thought there's no way he's taking the shuriken flip, but he just sees the angle. Everyone's stacked up, so he gets the QR out before he gets knocked up and dies. That was a lot of damage. He probably did about 1,500, 2K damage, I would think, in that fight before he went down. So he knows it's going to be a one-way trip, but he softens them up so that Yeon can go in, and giving them those opportunities to make plays happen, because that is now no flash on Luger, no flash on Palafox, no flash on Contractz, no flash on Poome. Still, both summoners are available there for Yeon, and summoners available as well for Haeri and Pyosik. So now they have this window where gold lead be damned. If you find the right angle, I think CLG could be in a lot of trouble.
And Haeri did have a tough time early. CLG focused him. He had the solo death. He got dove a couple of times, but he's essentially now a one-way torpedo. He has so much magic penetration. He has an M-Pen Mythic. He has Shadow Flame. He has Sorcerer's Shoes. He knows that when he goes in, he can blow up these targets like Palafox, like Luger, like Contractz, like anybody that's not Dhokla. And so it doesn't matter if your 1-4 Akali is now 1-5. If he sets the Zeri up to pentakill, cool.
Absolutely. And TL now just going to be starting up the bear. They're saying, yeah, you got to come and answer this. Jayce is down bot side. We're not going to answer the split push. You got to fight us. Haeri is looking for this flank angle, but this is risky. They could take a lot of shock blasts here. Palafox used the first one to try to clear that brush. So now I think TL will just leave. They just wanted to get the TP there off of Palafox, and that is mission successful.
Nicely done from TL, baiting out some of those valuable resources. 45 seconds until the Drake Soul spawns again. If CLG gets it, it's big problems for Team Liquid. They're hoping they can find another pick beforehand to take this one for free.
Yep.
But if you're CLG, that last one's got to be still burning in your brain.
Oh yeah, you are starting to get a little bit nervous, because you know if you get Soul there, this is going to be probably a pretty easy game to close out. But when you're playing Elise, when you're playing Jayce, every time some little thing goes wrong, it hurts that much more, because you are worried about the potential of Zeri and Lulu maybe taking over this game. Thankfully for them, Yeon is not going to get his third item finished before this, because he actually made that pit stop for the stopwatch, so he does have that available, but it means he doesn't have his completed third item. Luger does have 3 items ready to go, but they're critically missing flashes on the side of CLG. So it's up to Pyosik, it's up to Haeri, with those flashes available, to find key targets in the backline and really punish them. And look at Pyosik,
is wrapping all the way around. He wants to see the angle here for the flank. Team Liquid are starting up the Drake. By doing this, they're giving their opponents, they're trying to convince them, hey, Pyosik's around, because why would we start it up unless we had our jungler? Contractz steps up. He wants a little bit of poke. Now Pyosik shows his face. He's going to find Palafox. Yeon goes over the wall, and they're looking for the enemy mid laner. CLG trying to survive, but they've lost their support. Counter Logic Gaming is absolutely losing the plot here in the mid game as Team Liquid surges to life. They're going to take another Drake. They're going to stop the Soul again. They picked up a kill for free. Dhokla trying to lead the way and maybe get something back. Summit leads the charge. Wants to see if they can find anything else here. Palafox alone in the brush. Pyosik gonna place the ward. Doesn't want to fight him 1v1 without the Cyclone. TL are still in this, Isaac.
But CLG, I think, are going to go over to Baron. Are they actually going to try to start this up and threaten? Are they? I think they're maybe feeling pressured enough that they're saying this game is getting out of control. We got to do something. But they don't even sweep the pit. This is fully on vision here.
It's a YOLO.
So TL have the info here. This could be a game-deciding play. It's going down so fast, but can they escape?
They hear the Sion noise as Summit just charges into the river, and Team Liquid is able to force them back.
Okay.
CLG does not want to overcommit.
So they get Haeri's TP, they get Sion's ultimate, but they lose their mid lane turret, and they are pushed back. And Yeon now has 3 items, so this is where Zeri can really start to go crazy in a team fight with the Hurricane online there, with the Lulu behind him. This is getting terrifying for CLG, who had an incredible early game, and are now going to have to depend on some big plays of their own to be able to make things happen, because Elise has really fallen off a cliff now. is not going to have an easy time having effectiveness in these team fights. And it hasn't been CLG first the objective on these last 2 dragons. So if you're not actually controlling the vision and having them face check into you, it's very hard for the Elise to really get much done.
Either one of these AD carries could pop off and pentakill a team fight.
Yeah.
Setup is so critical to the state of the game that we're playing in now. Team Liquid has done a great job equalizing on those Drakes. It is still a modest gold lead for the side of CLG. It's hung around this 3,000 point for quite a while. But the thing about League of Legends is 3,000 gold means less and less and less as the clock moves forward, even though the amount isn't shrinking. How relevant it is going down.
Absolutely. It's really not meaning much. I think at this point in the game, it's purely down to execution. I don't even think that the gold lead really means hardly anything at this point, because when you're comparing the strength of the junglers, it's just like, it's not even close, right? And Jayce is not nearly as far ahead as he was. Jayce early was 3K ahead. Now he's about 2K, so that has slipped quite a bit in the mid lane. But you know, you're looking over at Yeon. Yeon is almost as rich as Palafox right now, and the Jinx is just as rich as Palafox. So Palafox is not, you know, this 1v9 army anymore. Has really had a couple people catching up to him.
We're long from the days where he was 1,600 out in front of the next closest person, but we do have a fight breaking out. Pyosik forced into the stages to stay alive. He wants to get himself back away here. Dhokla under a little bit of pressure. Haeri goes in. He wants the dive. Summit finds the enemy top laner, and CLG is still in.
Look at Luger, though.
Now they might be able to turn around. Luger wants to get excited. If he can do it, he might be able to run him down, but TL gets the distance. They take out the enemy top, but with injured health bars,
They can start Baron.
they have difficulty challenging the remaining 4 on CLG. Baron at half. CLG would love to take this here. Palafox wants to poke at these guys. Keep your eyes on Luger. Keep your eyes on Yeon.
Yeah, they gotta leave. The Ocean Dragon's actually meant a lot here for TL. The double Ocean Dragon, look at how much they're regenning. You can just see those numbers popping up over their head over and over and over there. That's 168 per tick there on Summit. So actually made a big difference around this Baron as they got chunked out pretty heavily by Luger. But Luger, again, it's not as though he had the Lulu behind him to speed him up and actually go in for that angle or to finish off those kills. He couldn't get the first reset. So he couldn't actually get in and really take advantage of how much damage he really got out in that fight. And now Yeon on the other side, you know, still has that flash remaining. Both summoners are up for Luger, so a lot of summoners are available at this point. It's just top laners really missing him and supports. But this is just such a tense game because 33 minutes in, a teamfight win is going to mean the Baron. And if it's around Soul time at all, that could mean Soul for CLG as well. The stakes could not be higher. TL are potentially one teamfight loss away from being eliminated from playoffs.
And if you're CLG, I think you're still thinking back to Palafox before that Drake Soul. The catch in the bot side river completely changed the story and the pace of the entire game. CoreJJ stepped up into the brush. He lives. They barely don't have the damage to burst him down.
That is actually massive. Core should not have been face checking that. Summit is literally beside you. Wait for him to walk up and check that brush. Only person really missing both sums was Core there. And he face checks it, almost pays the price. If he died, that would have been huge because it's 30 seconds until Soul here for CLG. It does at least get them some vision advantage here. They're gonna get a couple wards down around this area and they're gonna be moving down towards that dragon. You look at the map, you look where Jayce is, you look where the Elise is. They have this kind of big circle of triple pink wards, trying to control vision here, trying to get that poke down if they can. But TL is gonna play it slow. They're gonna play it through mid lane and they're gonna utilize the Sion to lead the charge into that river area. They can also check brushes with the Zeri W, so it becomes very, very tough for CLG to maintain control.
Summit being jumped on by Palafox and Dhokla. Palafox did just complete the Cyrilda's Grudge.
That's a big chunk.
Just going to be able to lock these guys down even better. The slowing power of the Shock Blast is now very threatening, as well as the extra armor penetration.
And look at Pyosik, half health now. He does have a GA available, which is big, but Haeri's going in!
Haeri decided he wants to fight, and Poome is going to be caught out. He survives way longer than he should have, and they finally finish him with Yeon's ulti. Team Liquid has gone 1 for 1 here in this. They found the enemy support, but they lost their top laner, they lost their meatball, and now Palafox can go shooting. He'll try to find the Shock Blast as Team Liquid falls back yet again. They still think about contesting this.
Haeri's gonna TP
gets back. He can TP back into the fight. This could be huge.
Oh, they're gonna go for it!
They're just gonna put the chompers on the TP. Haeri immediately popping the stasis while Team Liquid comes in to back up their mid laner. The shutdown! It's Haeri, and he finds Luger. CLG loses Contractz next, and it's a double kill back over to TL's mid. But Palafox mop them up. Dhokla's back with the dragon. Only Pyosik is still alive for TL, and it looks like CLG might get their soul after all.
Wait, can Pyosik get back in here? He's not actually spotted just yet. He has a GA. I think you go for this. I think you go for this 100%. There's no jungler there, but he can't find a way in.
He can't get in, and now he's stuck around so long. Palafox is going to get that GA for free. Dhokla's left to finish off the Drake. Palafox mistimes his shock blast. Dhokla grabs the Drake. It's Ocean Soul for CLG at long last.
Oh, that is huge. But can they actually get out? Is somebody able to do anything here? It doesn't look like it. Is this going to be pushed back? So CLG able to claim Soul. Massive fight for them. It looked like TL was going to win this. Haeri got so much down on the other side of that fight, but we didn't get to see what happened to Yeon. We didn't get to see how he went down. Dhokla perhaps getting equal amount done on the bottom side there.
All right,
this is way back early on here. When we had that initial trade of Poome, you know, who's getting pretty aggressive here. It's that initial trade that Haeri goes in for, chunking out Poome. They do get that kill, but look at how quick Stomach goes. He just straight up melted there from the Jinx and from this Jayce, who are still really strong. And then CLG just had a big HP advantage. Haeri was so close to having his TP interrupted, by the way, here. He gets pink warded. Imagine if that's a split second earlier. They try to go for this turn here, but the instant Zhonya's was really smart, and then Haeri is able to get back onto this Jinx. But look at Yeon. That's what we have to really watch, is Yeon is not able to actually stay alive in this fight, and it's just Palafox just walks in and just 100 and zeros him. Yeon gets separated from Core, and then Dhokla is able to take down Core as he's trying to get back to his AD. So despite the heroics from Haeri, it's a misposition there from Yeon that is punished so heavily. And look at the carries from CLG, Palafox and Luger. They are trying to win.
500 from the Jayce. Now Contractz is getting jumped on here. Pyosik using the ulti. Dhokla buying a lot of time here with a hallowed miss. He shuts down Pyosik, and Team Liquid has to scatter. Haeri barely gets away with 200 HP. Poome goes into the dredge line, flash over the wall, and he finds Summit. They can cut through the Sion pretty quickly. The dead body shouldn't be able to get a whole lot. Enemy jungler down, enemy frontliner down, Baron is up, and CLG is about to take care of that.
Yeah, TL go fishing in the enemy jungle there, and it's CLG again to come out on top. They now have the Baron, 5.6k lead here. And the Soul, everything going their way. It's up to TL to try to find some sort of heroics here, but no heal cut that I can see actually whatsoever against the Ocean Soul. Not even an Ignite is going to make it very, very difficult to deal with all of the additional sustain that they now have.
That was Pyosik's first death of the game on the Wukong. 39 minutes in here. Been having a pretty solid one so far, but CLG finally taking him out, getting the Baron as the prize. Huge stuff, bringing this game back under their own control. It was so scary for so long, but getting that Soul, winning that fight. Palafox taking out both the enemy carries in that fight before the Soul, redeeming himself for losing that same objective minutes and minutes and minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Palafox here has a GA. He's on 6 items. He's TPing right back in. They want to keep the pressure on here. I don't think they want to have another fight here potentially for Elder, because Elder really could swing things back in the favor of TL if they are able to get it. So CLG want to keep that pressure rolling here. They've got almost 2 minutes remaining still on this Baron. Definitely looking to try to crack the base. It's Dhokla just Baron buffing up the mid lane, but the waves aren't synced. So TL just run 5 mid as a squad, clear out that wave, and then run straight back down to bot. And you can look at the mid wave. It's very far away from crashing. So they send everyone here to clear out this wave, and they should have it pretty much gone before Dhokla's next wave comes in again. So this is being a little bit mismanaged, but they haven't managed to protect that cannon, and now Dhokla's just gonna step forward.
And they had a big chunk of damage. One accelerated shock blast took half of Core's HP away. The Lulu had to retreat. Team Liquid couldn't maintain their defense with all 5 players. And there, another big shock blast, half of CoreJJ's HP. Palafox with this Jayce is getting it done. And now Team Liquid's looking for the chance to maybe go in and keep themselves alive. Dhokla starts going for the snip as Summit is too far away from the rest of the squad, and he's gonna get killed first. Yeon and CoreJJ still trying to kite and fight as Haeri dives in, but he doesn't have a way to do it. Palafox goes on a rampage. Haeri goes down, and CLG goes straight for the jugular. They'll find the first Nexus turret and take down Pyosik, almost looking for the second. Dhokla and Palafox and Poome, they want this Wukong, and they got him. CLG eliminate Team Liquid from the playoff and move up to 9-8.
A massive, massive win for CLG. so much off of the early game there from Contractz, who was incredible in the early minutes on the Elise. Created a huge advantage for Palafox. It looked like it was going to be smooth sailing, but there were definitely some bumps in the road as CLG had that game get a lot closer than I think they would have liked. After that pick on Palafox, Steel started to find some ways back into this game, but they were able to close it out cleanly. Eventually, once they got that soul, they take the Baron, and they're able to close it out on that very push.
The bottom side river told the story of the game. Palafox initially getting caught out before their first chance at Soul. That was when things shifted from a CLG stomp to, man, this is a close one. But then again, later on in that same bottom side river, it was CLG finding the better part of the team fight. Palafox, again, a central character in the story, taking out the Zeri, taking out the Akali, and making it so his own top laner could finish off the Drake, secure that Soul, and then CLG was like, all right, we're done screwing around, let's finish what we started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one fight where Haeri TP's back in, you think he's gonna get caught on the chompers, but he has the stopwatch. He actually got so much done in that fight, killed off Luger, but Palafox just smacked Yeon out of the air there. Basically 100-0'd him in hammer form, as he came in. And after that, everything really started to fall apart. They lose the soul, they lose the Baron. They're able to close it out on that Baron push, with that gold lead that they had. Heartbreak, though, for TL, whose season is now over. Of course, they will have their one final game remaining to play tomorrow, but no matter what happens there, they cannot make it to playoffs. They cannot continue on for their MSI dreams.
And this is one of our orgs that, they won the back-to-back championships. They've been one of the top contesters for a while. It's just, it sucks for TL to end up in a spot like this and know that you're not even going to get a chance to participate in the playoffs. They're going to have a lot of VOD review to do. They're going to have a lot of games to look back at and see what they need to change, what they need to improve. But for CLG, man, the race is on. Everybody's still fighting for those last couple of spots, and Counter Logic Gaming wants to make sure they get one. Reminder, we are officially live with tickets for the LCS Spring Final in Raleigh, North Carolina on April 8th and April 9th. You can head to Ticketmaster.com right now to claim your spot. We hope to see you there. The road shows last year, now that we finally got them back, were awesome, and I'm hoping we keep stepping it up here in 2023. But now, we're joining MarkZ and Palafox on stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, CaptainFlowers. We are joined by the victorious Palafox, who just clinched at least a tiebreaker for tomorrow. Did you know that heading into the game?
I didn't really care. It's fun. I just want to win,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to win. The stakes, they'll come no matter what happens. Talk to me a little bit about that game, because you got off to an insane start. The casters were talking, you were 3,000 gold up, and there was this critical mistake that happened around the soul point. How were you mentally in that moment, and how did you bounce back from it? Because you still had an incredible game, even after that little blunder.
I mean, like you said, I was still 3,000 gold up. Obviously, we're still in a winning position, so it's just like, in that moment, I'm like, I'm sorry I inted, guys. Just don't int with my int, and we're chilling.
Yeah, so that's good to stop the bleeding on one mistake. This is a huge win for you guys. Like I just said, it tied you up, or give you a tiebreaker. It came pretty hard, though, because last week you had a surprise loss to Dignitas. Felt like you guys were doing quite well in that game. How has the team's mentality been heading into this week? As you know, it was all important to rip off a number of wins to actually make playoffs, and having a relatively difficult strength of schedule.
After the Dig loss, I think that even leading up to those scrims, really, it's like we all have the mentality of like, we need to do better. I think this week, everybody's been a lot harder on themselves to like clean up our like simple mistakes, clean up our team fighting. I don't know, from my perspective, the mistakes we're making are not okay. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that you guys are getting it under control for the playoff push. Just so you know, you were the player of the game for that game. I don't know if that comes as a surprise when we're that far ahead, but congratulations on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us here. We're going to a Draw My Life with Emily Rand with C9 Sven.
Thank you, Mark. And welcome to Draw My NA and EU LCS Life. Sven, that's right, we're pre-LEC era. Jesper Sven Svenningsson made his EU LCS debut in 2015 on Origin in their fledgling year. That year, as OG Niels, Sven won Outstanding Rookie of the Split. Origin then took favorite Fnatic to 5 games in finals that summer. In summer 2016, Sven and bot lane partner Mithy went to G2 and promptly won the EU LCS. While on G2, Sven went to Worlds twice and finished second at MSI as part of the best bot lane in the West. In 2018, he and Mithy came over to NA and joined TSM. After missing Worlds twice, Sven joined Cloud9 in 2020 and immediately won that spring. In 2022, he role swapped to support. Sven and C9 are the current LCS title holders. They now look to defend that title in the upcoming playoffs. The thing I can't stress enough about Sven is actually how experienced he was before he role swapped to support and just how far back his career goes. And now we're going to check out to see what the bunny has predicted for C9 IMT. The thing I love about this is how disinterested the bunny seems in predicting. They are going for the upset. Yeah, wow, okay. Well, it's looking like the bunny is predicting a massive upset for Immortals over C9. We will see if they can get that done after the break.